everyone, it's Alice, and I'm here to discover if I've read the 60 most popular books from the past 5 years on Goodreads. So Goodreads have done a list of the 12 most popular books from the last 5 years. So 2017, 18, 19, 20 and 21 on Goodreads. So this is the ones that have been shelved the most, I think. Let's have a quick look. It's determined by the number of reviews, want to read shelvings, and average ratings. So it is a combination between like the best books based off of ratings and the ones that are just like super overhyped that everybody wants to read. So it's going to be interesting to see what this list looks like. But we're going to find out together, and I'm going to see how many I've read, if I've read any of them, and just have a bit of fun. So this is the third Goodreads video that we have done this year so far. We have already done one looking at the winners of the Goodreads Choice Awards for this year, and we've already done one looking at the 51 most read books of this year. So check those out if you're interested in more Goodreads content from us, because we are doing a video every single day in Bookmas, so we've done a few in like this little theme, I suppose. But without further ado, let us hop back to 2017 and see what the 12 most popular books were that year. So in 12th place we have The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. I've heard of this, it's a poetry collection. I haven't read it because I don't read a lot of poetry, but there's another one of this author's that has bees, I think, that I've heard more about. But I'm really surprised to see a poetry collection on here. But yeah, I guess it's a poet that I've heard of, so that's not too surprising. In number 11, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I've heard good things about Lisa Jewell. I have not read any of her books yet, and I haven't actually heard of that one, but it was quite clearly popular in 2017. I've been doing my book blog since 2014, so I should have read or heard of basically all of these. So this is getting off to an embarrassing start. In 10th place we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This I'm not surprised by because Caraval is so hyped. It's the first book in a series. It's like kind of like The Night Circus for young adults from what I can gather. There are sisters and a guy called Jax and a circus carnival thing. I haven't read it yet. I've got the advanced copy of it that I should have read, but I got a bit scared by the hype. But I will read it eventually. I will. And I will hopefully love it because I have quite a few copies of it, and I've got I think I've got the second and third on my Kindle, and then I've got the fourth one, well, the first one in the spin-off series from Fairy Loot, so I hope I love this series. In 9th place is The Alyce Network by Kate Quinn. I think, based off of the cover and based off the fact that Kate Quinn also wrote another one recently called The Rose something? Am I right about that? Probably not. The Rose Code? But I'm guessing it's historical fiction. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, so I'm not surprised that I haven't read that one. In 8th place is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas, which I thought would be higher. But also I guess it's the third in a series, so if people haven't liked the first two, or if they haven't read the first two, they're not going to mark this one as want to read. So that's probably why that one is lower. I'm halfway through it. I will eventually read that one, but I'm surprised it's not higher up. Number 7 is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. That was a hugely hyped release because it was her first novel after The Girl in the Train. I've never heard a single person talk about that book on Goodreads or on BookTube, so I don't know whether it was a lot of people putting it as want to read and not actually reading it. I do own a copy. I have no idea where it is. I've never picked it up, but I do own a copy. So hopefully I'll read that one day. In 6th place was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Surprised that's not higher because everybody loves John Green. Again, a book I own a copy of but I haven't read because I got a bit scared by the hype. Some people say that one's amazing, some people say it's not great. I did read the first chapter because he released it early and I was not getting on with the protagonist, but I will probably give that a go one day. Maybe. In 5th place, They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which I have on the shelf behind me and I still have not read. They both die at the end. We know how it ends. It's gonna be sad. I'm not signing up for that. Maybe one day, but not yet. In 4th place is Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. Legitimately never heard of this author or this book. I am a bad booktuber. I am a bad book blogger. I am not really a reader, am I? It might be another historical because it looks like it's children sat on a suitcase, so it might be people being evacuated. That's my only saviour, if it is. In third place is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. As I said in one of my other Goodreads videos, Taylor Jenkins Reid, the absolute most popular author that has existed in our generation, it seems, or very quickly becoming that way. Still haven't read it. Very interested in it. It's so hyped. But I didn't even realise it came out in 2017. Like, damn, I thought it was like more recent because people have only really been going on about her writing over the last couple of years since Daisy Jones came out. So I kind of thought Evelyn Hugo was not that far before Daisy Jones, but interesting to see. In second place is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, which I still want to read, haven't read yet. Sean has a copy of that I would like to read eventually. But I heard such amazing things about this at the time, and I think, again, I just got scared by the hype. And in first place, surprising legitimately no one, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This deserves to be first place. This deserves to be the most popular book of 2017 because it was amazing. It was so heartbreaking. It was so well written. I absolutely loved it. I only read it 2 years ago. I didn't read it when it came out, even though I got a copy straight away. But that deserves to be number one. And that means that out of the 2017 top 12 books, I've read one. But it is the best one. So I've got that going for me at least. Let's look at 2018. So this was the year Sophia was born. So I'm probably going to have read less of these, which is impressive if I've read less than one. But my reading kind of went off the rails a little bit, and I won't have heard of most of these because I just stopped working at the library, and obviously I had a newborn, so I wasn't on social media and I wasn't checking book releases as frequently. So this is going to be really interesting. So in 12th place we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I have a copy of this one, haven't read it yet. Have heard good things about the story, but not great things. And then I've heard basically nothing about the sequel, and I've got a feeling there's going to be a third one. I thought it was meant to just be a duology, but I might still read it. It's just not a priority. In 11th place is An American Marriage by Tiari Jones. I actually picked this up in a charity shop a couple of months ago, and I've got a video idea to do with reading that one. So I will be reading that soon. But I had no idea it came out in 2018. I only started hearing about it when everybody was hyping up The Vanishing Half. So that was 2019, I think. In 10th place was Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone. I haven't heard of that one. I've heard of Kristen Hanna. Haven't heard of that book. In 9th place is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I hadn't actually heard of this one when I was doing one of my other Goodreads videos, but it's a self-help book. And it's about building good habits and breaking bad ones. It sounds interesting. I just legitimately had not heard of it until I started filming these videos. In 8th place, The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. Interested in it, but I don't read a lot of historical fiction, as I've already said. So I might never read that one, but I am interested in it as a concept. In 7th place is The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I've heard controversial things about AJ Finn as an author and as a person, so I'm putting it off. But it's still on my want to read list. I'm just not desperate to read it. So we'll see how that goes. In 6th place, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which I have read not just once, but twice. And I loved it the first time, and I was a bit disdainful of it the second time. And I actually just recently featured that series in my unhaul video. So that went well. In 5th place is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I have not read a single Sally Rooney book, but I do own Normal People, so I would like to read that soon. In 4th place is Circe by Madeline Miller. I'm so surprised that's not the top one because everybody goes on about that book. And I would like to read it, but I haven't yet. In 3rd place is Becoming by Michelle Obama. Not surprised to see that on there. In 2nd place was Educated by Tara Westover. I am surprised to see a memoir so high on this that isn't by somebody really, really famous. But I have heard such amazing things about Educated, so I'm also simultaneously not surprised. Nice little contradiction. And in 1st place is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I mentioned before in one of my other videos that I love the cover of this one. I just don't know anything about the story. And I keep seeing people reading it in public. Like, I've seen people reading this on buses and trains and stuff. So I might give it a go. I just haven't any idea what it's about. But it was the most popular book in 2018, in which I also read one book that year. So I've got one book each for the first 2 years. At least it's not none. Moving on to 2019. So now it's time to look at 2019, and in 12th place was Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb. I'm guessing that's a memoir based off the title and the cover, but it's not one that I've heard of. It does sound interesting though. In 11th place, The Wicked King by Holly Black. I've read it. I did not enjoy it. It's the fact I've unhauled that series, as I just mentioned. So if the third one is also on here, that's going to be super awkward. In 10th place, Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. I'm really interested in Ninth House, but it's the first one in quite a long series, and it's still the only one that's even been announced, yet alone released. So I'm going to wait until there's a few more of those out, and then hopefully read them. In 9th place, The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. The only reason I've heard of this one is because I saw a special edition of it in a charity shop, and I was tempted to get it because it had really cool sprayed edges, but then I left it because it was like £6, and I don't remember anything about the story. I read the blurb to see if I was interested in it. I didn't think I was, so I left it, and now I can't remember what it was about, so I'm guessing that's not going to be the book for me. In 8th place was The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. Not surprised to see that one there because Me Before You was a huge release, and Jojo Moyes is a really popular author. In 7th place was The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, which was the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. Obviously everybody has read, well, everybody I say, but I haven't. Tons and tons of people have read The Handmaid's Tale or loved the TV show, so it's not surprising to see that one on there. In 6th place was Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. That is another non-fiction one. Haven't heard of it. Not really interested in it. In 5th place, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Definitely interested in it. Hauled it last month, so hopefully reading it soon. 4th place was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, which I've been interested in since it was released. I just haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, but I do have that on my Kindle. On 3rd place was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, super duper popular. I hauled that a couple of months ago, so hopefully we'll be reading it soon. 2nd place, Red, White and Royal Blue, which makes this tick officially the first year where I've read more than one of the most popular books, because I've also read that one. Didn't really get the hype. I think I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it. And in first place was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, which I hauled earlier this year, so we'll also hopefully read soon. So I feel like I've heard of most of those, apart from the non-fiction ones. Not interested in all of them, but I've read 2 of them, so we're doing better. Let's move on to 2020, which I think will probably be my best reading year for it, because I feel like I was doing really well with reading new releases last year, she says, before having read none of them. But I've not been doing as well this year, so I won't be surprised if I've read none of the ones from this year. But I'm hoping last year I might have hit 3 or 4. So in 12th place for the most popular books of 2020, we had From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I haven't read, but I've got the Illumicrate edition. And my light has just died, so I'll change that quickly. After a frantic search for the light battery, I have been unable to find it, so we are just going to go ahead with this slightly moodier look. Sorry about that. But let's carry on with 2020, because I'm interested to find this out, and I'm really hungry for my pizza, and I get to eat after a film, so pizza is my priority at the moment. So in 11th place was In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I've heard of this one, haven't read it, interested in it because it's like one of those time jumpy romance rom-com things, but I just haven't picked it up. In 10th place, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have this one on my Kindle, super duper interested in reading it. I just got scared by the hype. In 9th place, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I'm guessing that's mostly people marking it as want to read rather than people liking it, because that seemed to be so hated when it came out. But I do own it. Sean managed to find a copy in a charity shop a couple of months ago, so we will read it when I've eventually read The Hunger Games, but I don't know when that will happen. In 8th place, Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, which I have read. House of Earth and Blood, to be specific, the first book in the Crescent City series. I've read it. I'm going to read book 2 as soon as it is released. I've already got 2 copies on pre-order. I absolutely loved it. I am not mass trash because I haven't read the Throne of Glass series and I haven't read the last book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, or the most recent one, the 3rd or the 4th. But I am trash for Crescent City because that was an amazing book. In 7th place we have Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I have never heard of this one, but I love the cover. In 6th place we have American Dirt by Janine Cummings, which I'm not interested in at all. I've heard really controversial things about it. It seems like it was a massive piece of shit. If you've read it and you feel differently, or if you know any more about it, then please let me know, but I've just heard bad things about it, so I'm not interested. In 5th place we have The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I am interested. I just haven't read any of Lucy Foley's work yet because I don't know where to start. In 4th place we have Beach Read by Emily Henry, which is on my want to read list, and I will hopefully read it this summer, but I just didn't think of reading it in the summer and I don't really want to read it at Christmas. In third place, we have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, which I've read. I gave it either 4.5 stars or 5 stars because I really loved it. And I would reread that book in a heartbeat because it was brilliant. In second place, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, which I thought was going to be in first place because it's so popular. But I have 2 copies of it and I still haven't read it. So I can't say whether I loved it more than I loved number 1, which is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I've actually read. So I was correct. Out of 2020, I've read 3. Which is good, because that's the most, and I thought it was going to be the most. The Midnight Library was a 5-star, one of the best books I've read of all time, so if you haven't read that, pick it up. So heartbreaking, so amazing. So let's move on to this year, because I know what some of the most popular books are for this year, because I've obviously already done the other video, but I don't know which ones exactly were the top 12 out of those 51, or if it is the same 51, or if it's other ones have been marked as want to read compared to being read. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited. Let's find out. So in 12th place is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. I haven't read it. I'm not surprised to see it on there. I am surprised to see it so low down because I thought that was like one of the most hyped releases this year. In 11th place was Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Again, thought that would be higher. So if that is the bar for like the 2 lowest, it's going to be interesting to see what beats them. In 10th place we have The Push by Ashley O'Drain. I think this one's a debut, but I legitimately know nothing about it. I need to look this up after I've finished filming this video because it's the second time I've had to say I've got no idea about this book because I haven't had a chance to look it up since I first said that. I will look it up soon. In 9th place, Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro. Very popular author, writes a lot of kind of modern classics, so not supposed to see there on there. Number 8 was The Maidens by Alex McAlladis, the author of The Silent Patient, so of course people who love that book will be marking this one as want to read, and I think that might have won one of the Goodreads Choice Awards, or was a very close second. I remember seeing that cover recently, but I don't remember why. In 7th place, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, one of my favourite books of this year, 5 stars, instant favourite, would reread, will reread, absolutely loved. In 6th place, we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I know Becca from the Becca Fowl said that that one should have won the Goodreads Choice Awards, so I'm going to trust her recommendation on that one and pick it up soon, because I've seen the cover everywhere, but I haven't heard anybody actually talking about it, but if Becca loves it, I probably will. In 5th place was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So impressive to see a debut this high up, but I haven't read it yet, I just love the cover. In 4th place was The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Again, haven't heard of this book until I've started filming these videos. Now it's all I'm hearing about, so I'm gonna have to pick that one up. In 3rd place, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Not interested, it's historical fiction, but I can appreciate the fact that it's on there. 2nd place, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which means they have managed to feature with all 3 of the really, really hyped books, which is super cool. But I'm not really interested because it's historical fiction. Maybe one day. Kind of reminds me of the cover of The Great Golden by Meg Rossoff as well, and I hated that book, so I think that's probably what's putting me off more than anything. But in first place, for the most popular book of 2021, was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, which I'm surprised by, because Beach Read was way more hyped, but I don't know if it's because of the hype from Beach Read that people are picking up that one instead. But that means I have only read one of this year's most popular books, but there is nary a year, not a single year, where I've read none of them. I've read 1, then I've read 1, then I've read 2, then I read 3, and then I read 1. So look at me go! I do read popular books! It's been a ruse this whole time saying I don't read popular books. I do, just not many of them. I might pick up some of these though, because it's really interesting to see this as a list, to see what is really that popular, and especially because it's based off of ratings and want to read things. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it, because I've had a whale of a time. If you'd like to subscribe, we'd be super duper grateful, because we are posting a video every single day in December, so we will have quite a few more for you in the next couple of weeks. Happy Bookmas! If you'd like to share whether you've read any of these books, whether you think that there were books that weren't featured that you're really surprised not to see on here, then please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, join us again tomorrow for our next video. Bye! I was going to open my Fairy Loot package. Wait, hold on. I have a surprise Fairy Loot unboxing. Come back, come back. I'm going to open it now. I don't know what this is, but it arrived in the post and I want to open it. And I thought it would be a good chance to do it in a video. So we're going to open our parcel quickly. Don't leave. I'm not going to be able to get it open, am I? Oh, this is embarrassing. And it is in a black bag, which is unsurprising because it's fairy loot, and it is very gold because it is Gilded by Marissa Meyer, which I didn't know was a naked hardcover, but is a naked hardcover, and says all magic comes at a price, but love wasn't part of the bargain, and that is stunning. This is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. It has a ribbon bookmark, which I love, and it has sparkly end papers, and it is signed, and it is mine. So thank you, Fairy Loot, for sending this through. I paid for it. It's not like it was a copy, but like, thank you for getting it to me safely, and thank you for doing these beautiful special editions, especially this one with the gilt edges, because oh my gosh, I don't think I've got any gilded edges, and it feels like a Bible, and it's so cool. But yay! Fancy schmancy book and a really fun video. Now you can leave. Thank you for your patience with me, and I'm sorry I'm a mess. I will see you tomorrow. Bye! Wait, shit, I need to change my jumper. Oh. Stripping off, stripping off. Stripping on. Stripping on. Stripping on, and on. Stripping and getting gross. Right, now we're ready.